Hello.
Hello.
Hello, teacher.
Hello. Okay. So today we're going to be looking at logical fallacies. So we're evaluating our module right now is focused on evaluating sources. And today we're going to be looking at logical fallacies. So the objective for today's lesson is that participants will be able to identify different types of logical fallacies. So we are happy to have everyone here. If you are late or have technical issues, that's okay. Please just join in as you are able. I do recognize that some people might have technical issues. Mute yourself when you are not talking, but please remember to unmute yourself when you do want to talk. We want to be able to hear everyone. Please complete the pre-session interactive slides that are posted on Facebook. They're in the Google Classroom and they're emailed out. And also complete the feedback form after the session so that we know how to improve it. This will help us revise and develop the course. If you have any questions or technical issues during the session, please send us a message in the chat box or email info@hettgroup.com. Okay, so my name is Lisa and I am going to be leading this training. So I've previously taught English, I've taught environmental education, and I've done some teacher training. And I've previously lived in Myanmar. Kathleen is my co-host and she's the one who creates all the slides. Kathleen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Kathleen Greiwe, and I'm an English and Spanish teacher in the US, and I've done teacher training and English teaching online.
And Akari, would you like to introduce yourself? She offers the classes in Burmese. Oh, it's really fuzzy.
Where is it? Hello.
Hello?
Here. I have a tutu out. Did you see my photo?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, I will.
Okay,
Yes, I
cool. Great. ဟိုပါလေးဆရာမတို့ကျွန်မပြန်မိတ်ဆက်ရမယ်ဆိုရင်ကျွန်မနာမည်ကAkari ပါအခုဒီ head team မှာ Lisa နဲ့တူတူပေါင်းပြီးတော့တချို့ section တွေကိုပေါ့နော် volunteer အနေနဲ့offer လုပ်ပါတယ်အမှန်တော့ကျွန်မစနေနေ့မနက်ကိုမနက်တိုင်းပေါ့နော်Burmese လို့သူ English လို့သင်တဲ့ဟာကိုကျွန်မမြန်မာလို့ in Burmese သင်ဖို့ကျွန်မလုပ်ပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ပြီးခဲ့တဲ့တစ်ပတ်ကရောဒီနေ့ရော connection ကဟိုကြားထဲမှာပြက်သွားတာနဲ့အခုထိတေချာမအောင်မြင်သေးဘူးပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒီအတွက်ကိုလည်းကျွန်မသူ့ကိုပြောတာ section ပြီးရဲ့ခါကျရင်နားတွေကိုပြန်ပြီးတော့တောင်းပန်ချင်ပါတယ်လို့အဲ့ဒီရွေးချက်လေးနဲ့လည်းကျွန်မဒီနေ့ညနေ section ကို join
ကျွန်မမနက်ကလည်း join ပါဟုတ်ဆရာမရတဲ့
ဟုတ်တယ် I was just telling them that I couldn't have the sections ran successfully due to the network issues so thank you Lisa I'm done introducing myself
Okay, sounds good.
ကျွန်မတို့ခုမေးလို့ရလား
she's having a question ဟုတ်မေးပါရှင်
ဟိုဟာလေကျွန်မဆရာမအတန်းကိုဘယ်လိုမျိုး join ရမလဲမသိဘူးရှင်
မနက်ပိုင်းအတန်းဟိုလားရှင်မြန်မာလိုဟာဟုတ်လားဟုတ်ကဲ့အဲ့ဒါလေးကျွန်မမနက်ကိုဒီ same link မယ်မနက်9:00 နာရီကနေ10:00 နာရီသူနဲ့ဟိုပြောလိုက်မယ်ပြောပြီးတော့ကျမတို့အဲ့လိုမျိုးလေးကြော်ညာထုတ်တာတွေပါရှိရဲအဲ့ဒါဘယ်လိုလုပ်လို့ရမလဲဆိုတော့ဆရာမတို့ပြန်ပြောပါမယ်နော်သူ့ကိုအရင်တစ်ချက် message လေးပို့ပြီးတော့ကျမ make sure
ဟိုရှေ့ပတ်စိတ်ဝင်စားတယ်ရှင်ဒါပေမဲ့ဘယ်လို join ရမှန်းမသိလို့အဲ့ဒါကြောင့်မလို့ပါ
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ကျမသူ့ကိုမေးလိုက်ပါမယ်နော်
ဟုတ်ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်ဆရာမဟုတ်
ကျေးဇူးပါဟုတ်ကဲ့
What was that?
She's wondering how she could join the sections in the morning. She said she was aware of the sections before, but she just didn't know how to join in. So I told her that I'm gonna talk to you first and let you know of all these advertisements and everything.
Yeah, sounds good. And it's the same link. So we keep it so it's the same link for both classes. But we have had, yeah, like mentioned, we've had some internet issues, but it'll be the same link. And then when they fill in the application form, they can fill in that they either want to attend, people can attend one or both, but it's the same link, just at a different time.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. I better leave a message in Burmese in the chat box so that everybody can see. I don't want to take too much of your time.
Okay, yeah, that might be good. You can just make a
ဘယ်လို join ရမလဲဆိုတာ chat box ထဲမှာအကုန်လုံးသိအောင် message ချန်ထားပေးခဲ့ပါမယ်เนาะဟုတ်သူစာတင်ချိန်လေးလဲကျွန်မအတိုင်းပြုပြီးတော့ပြောချင်လို့ပါဟုတ်ကဲ့ကျွန်မ message ချန်ထားမယ်ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်ရှင်
Okay,ပါရှင်ဟုတ်ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်
Okay. Okay, so, oops, sorry, must have hit it twice. How well can you find logical fallacies? So how well do you understand or know logical fallacies, and how well can you find them? So not at all, a little bit, somewhat, quite well, or extremely well. So if you can show me on the count of 3, if not, you can also kind of type in the chat box. So 1, 2, 3. How well can you? Okay, not very well. Most people are kind of pretty low down. Okay, cool. And a little bit. Okay. What else? No, not at all. Okay. Where have you seen logical fallacies before? Has anyone seen a logical fallacy before? Does anyone know what they are? We'll get more into that, but. News or media, yes, definitely. Yes, there's lots of logical fallacies on the news or in the media. Anyone else? But yeah, you can see them kind of anywhere where people make arguments. So we'll get into what it is in a second. We will. Social media, just see if anyone knows. Okay.
News and an everyday speech.
Everyday speech. Yeah, definitely. I'm sure I've done lots of logical fallacies. So. Okay. So what is a logical fallacy? Oh, does someone have their hand up? As in why or way? Okay. So what is a logical fallacy? If you think of a logical fallacy as meaning like false logic. So people make these kind of jumps that maybe appear on the surface to be logical, but when you kind of look at it closely, you realize that they are not logical. They do not make sense. So a logical fallacy is kind of false logic. So it's an argument with bad reasoning. It tries to be logical, but it fails. So we kind of mentioned it a little bit already, but when are logical fallacies used?
When we make agreements.
Definitely, yes. When we make arguments, when we have arguments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and yeah, so they might happen accidentally when you're having an argument with someone. I'm sure I've used logical fallacies when I'm angry about something. Sometimes they happen. Yeah, voting process among parties, it might happen. Yeah, so the media sometimes uses logical fallacies. Politics is really big for using logical fallacies to try and win an argument. Sometimes they're intentionally tricking people. So you're trying to convince someone of something, so you purposely use a logical fallacy. A lot of times, though, it is accidental. It's just not good logic. It's not a good argument.
Convince people.
Why are logical fallacies important to researchers?
To get the correct news or this news is the truth.
To find facts.
Yeah, finding facts, yeah.
Yeah.
Wrong data, yeah. So especially, and it depends if you're doing quantitative or qualitative research, but especially in the discussion section, you want to be able to analyze if they have good arguments, strong arguments. We talked about different types of arguments. Or if they've used some logical fallacies to get to kind of their conclusion. So from the data to the conclusion, were there any logical fallacies? Some of the logical fallacies we'll be going over are more general, but some of them could happen in research. So it's recognizing them and not believing them if you see them in other people's work. Like, can you recognize this statement would be a logical fallacy, especially like I said in discussion section. The largest one would probably be correlation not equaling causation. And that's something that researchers have to be very careful about, is that just because 2 things correlate or 3 things correlate, it does not mean causation. And it's also important to not use them in your own writing, obviously. So just to be able to recognize them and making sure that you're not using them. So what logical fallacies do you know? Does anyone know any logical fallacies? You can either tell me or chat or type in the box. So we're going to go over quite a few today. So we're just, yeah. Is someone going to say something? Okay, so we're going to go over, I believe, 9. It's not quite the same with a rumor, no. We'll discuss each one and look at each one, and maybe that will help you understand. It's more like logical leaps that we make that don't make sense. Rumor is more just something you know, but you don't completely know. So the 9 we're going to look at is slippery slope, hasty generalization, post hoc ergo propter hoc, which I believe, I have to double check, is the causation or the correlation is not causation. Genetic fallacy, circular arguments, either or, ad hominems, red herrings, and straw man arguments. So look at this one. If I keep this coin, I will save money. If I save money, I will be able to buy a car. Therefore, if I keep this coin, I will be able to buy a car. So can anyone tell me why this is a logical fallacy? Why is this a slippery slope or a logical fallacy? Does this make sense?
Yes.
Just one coin.
Yes. It's coin, but it's many. It's a type of many, but it can be enough to buy a car.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not enough. So it's a slippery slope is when you make one statement and you're kind of expanding it out. So just because you save one coin does not mean you have enough to buy a whole car, right? So you save 1 coin. Yes, sure, you're saving money. And sure, if I save money, you will buy a car. But 1 coin, you cannot buy a car with.
Yes.
It does not make sense. So this is a
Yes.
logical fallacy, and it's called a slippery slope. So it's called that because it's kind of like one thing leads to another, like a series of small steps. Once you start going, you just slide down, but it doesn't mean that your conclusion is true. So you see the last line, if I save this, if I keep this coin, I will be able to buy a car. That is not a true conclusion. It's not correct.
Yes.
Oops. So you do not have enough money to buy a car.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and if anyone needs help translating, Carrie can also, yeah, it can also translate. But yes, it is a claim about a series of events that leads to a major event. Yes, and then the major event is not true. It doesn't, it's kind of step and step and step, but then it doesn't make logical sense. Okay, the next one. Yeah, so you'd have to accumulate and accumulate and accumulate. But by itself, 1 doesn't equal a car. So you have to be able to separate that. The only Catholic woman I've ever met was a nun. All Catholic women are nuns and none of them ever get married. So why is this a logical fallacy? A hasty generalization.
One Catholic woman can represent all of the other Catholic women.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, 1 does not represent all. So this is a hasty generalization. Hasty means like quick, in case anyone doesn't know. Hasty generalization. So not all Catholic women are nuns. You can't assume that based on 1 experience. So you jump to a conclusion and your claims are not backed with evidence. So you just make a generalization based on 1 example. Like you could say, oh, it was hot out yesterday. That means global warming is not true.
Yeah.
So last weekend, oh, there's a comment. Yeah, 1 characteristic doesn't represent the whole. Excellent, yes. So last weekend, I read my book for 5 hours. Then I got a headache. Reading makes you sick. So what's wrong with this? Why is this a logical fallacy?
Yes.
Feeling on sick is by accident.
Yeah,
Not
it's,
every time. Yes.
Oh,
Not every
it's
time you
not
read. Yes.
yeah, they're 2 separate ideas, and
Yeah.
1 does not cause the other. So this happens a lot when people are discussing about research, or it's just important for people in research to remember, and most people do. Correlation, so 2 things happening at the same time does not equal causation, that 1 causes the other. So just because you got a headache and read for 5 hours, maybe there's a correlation there, maybe there's not. But it definitely doesn't means that reading a book does not cause a headache. There's no proof of that.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so yeah, reading does not necessarily cause headaches. You might have a headache from the lighting or because you're sick. So event A happens before event B. So A must cause B. Correlation does not equal causation. So that's called post hoc ergo propter hoc in English. It's quite a long name. Okay. This food came from Mexico, so it must be very spicy. So why is this a logical fallacy?
Not every food which came from Mexico cannot be spicy.
Yeah, that's true. It's making an assumption based on their genetics or where they're from. So not all food from Mexico is spicy. Maybe lots is, but there might be food that isn't. So it values something because of its origin, and it relates to things that may have nothing to do with each other just because of where it comes from. So it might be true some of the time. It's kind of similar to a hasty generalization, but focusing on where something comes from or where its origin is. Okay. Alcohol is bad for you because it is alcoholic. What is wrong with this argument?
Background histories of alcohol.
So this is a circular argument. Alcohol is bad for you because it's alcohol. There's no real proof given. It's just kind of repeated. So circular argument. So saying alcohol is redundant. Of course it is. It's just repeating yourself. No actual cause or reason is stated here. So it's like 1 leads to 2, which leads to 3, which leads to 1. So you don't really have any reason or proof. Yeah, no breakout and no logical reasons. Yes, definitely. Tries to prove a claim by restating the claim. If I can't become a lawyer, I will drop out of university and become homeless. So why is this a logical fallacy? If someone doesn't become a lawyer, what else could they do?
It's an entry reset.
Sorry?
Yes.
It's an entry expectations, right?
Yeah, kind of unsure. It's called an either or logical fallacy. Yeah. Like you have more choices than that. This person is putting things in, it either has to be this or this. There's no middle ground. So even if this person doesn't become a lawyer, they could go become a doctor. They could stay in university. They could, even if they leave, maybe even if they drop out of university, they can go work somewhere else. Just because they can't become a lawyer does not mean that they will become homeless. So it's kind of putting things, it's like either this or that, no middle ground. So there are many options in life besides becoming a lawyer or being homeless. You could choose a different career path. It makes it seem like there are only 2 options when there might be like hundreds of options. Things are not just black or white.
Allow me to ask one question about this. Yeah, is it either or is just like that? Sometimes, for example, just like things, this one need to be cured by the operation. It would be the either if you operate if you take the operation, you will be just like your survivors will be higher. If you don't take the operation, you will be die, something like that. So we don't need to be choose only for the operation or not it. So if why we are not considering for the alternative medicines, something like the herbal medicines or not Western medicine, yeah, it's traditional medicines or something like this. Is that either or could be logical fallacy?
I think it depends. It could depend how it's worded. Like I could see, like, if someone's like, I think it also depends if it's the advice of like a doctor, and if the doctor is very much like, there is a 95% chance that you will die if you don't take this treatment, then that's not an either or. That's just them giving them the statistics about being able to survive without that treatment from other people being sick from that. But if there are other options, if someone's like, oh, if you it also depends how sick you are, but if sometimes if they try and frame it like, if there are many options and they try and frame it as if there's only two, then that could be seen as an either or. Yeah, I think if they're giving the statistics around, say, like survival rates, then that's a little bit different. But if there are many options, but then they only give you two options to choose from, then that could be seen as an either or.
Yes, I also think that this statement may be concerned with one's opinion or one's strong emotion.
Yeah, I mean, as Akari said, like if the claim is based up by evidence and they're giving like statistics, then that's different a little bit than if they're just saying like this or this. I would recommend, it's probably not a smart idea for even doctors to say you can either choose this or this. It's probably better for them to give you survival rates or like rates of healing from the process or whatever, if you do one option or if you do a different option, because that might be backed up by data. So if they have the data, to give you the data. Also, because, and I will be honest, I think there are many good doctors in Myanmar, but from my experience in Myanmar, I feel like sometimes people trust doctors a little bit too much. So I do think sometimes the doctors don't give enough information, and they should give more information, more data, instead of just being like, you can choose this or not. They should be giving more data and more information.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I never trust anything that professors teach us, that the professor teaches us, because he has a strange sense of humor. So what's wrong with this?
Trust.
So why does this person, he or she, not trust the professor? Yeah, humor doesn't relate with teaching skills. Yeah. So ad hominem. So not being funny does not make you unintelligent. The professor probably teaches important things. Attacks a claim by attacking the person who made the claim. So an example, which I've probably done before, is attacking maybe some of Trump's. I don't like Donald Trump, that's my opinion. And sometimes maybe I might attack the things he says by being like, oh, he's an idiot or he's stupid. So instead of attacking or criticizing his argument, yes, a personal attack instead of attacking the actual argument, just being like, that person's stupid. So obviously it does not refute the actual argument. Yes, it's bad that millions of gallons of oil are spilling into the ocean, but we can't stop drilling for oil because we depend on it. So why is this a logical fallacy?
The ocean is so wide and can separate all.
Kind of. Anyone else have any ideas? Oh, there's a chat box. Yeah, they're two different things. The usefulness of oil and spilling oil are different. So we may depend on oil and we may need to keep drilling for it, but that does not mean we can let it spill into the ocean. That is not the argument being made. So it's when one person makes an argument and instead of refuting that argument, you twist the argument so it's about something different. So it avoids the problem and it draws attention to something else. So the original argument is about spilling oil, but you distract and talk about that we depend on oil. But depending on oil doesn't matter about having it spill into the ocean. So it's kind of like it distracts you. So that's a red herring. And it's called a red herring because red herring, actually, I don't fully know the history, but a red herring is a red fish. So I guess it must be something about the color distracting you. Kathleen, do you know the history of why it's called a red herring?
I don't know anything about fish, but I'll Google it.
Okay, I mean, I just wanted to ask because I realized I don't know why either, but I think it's because it's distracting. Maybe it.
Yeah, it looks like most herrings are gray, so a red one would be very distracting and very different from normal. It would definitely grab your attention.
Okay. Music cannot be therapeutic because rap music is very loud and there are sometimes bad words. So why is this a logical fallacy?
It's not depend on the kinds of the music. It's only depend on what you like.
According to the feeling or the audience.
Yeah. So it kind of means that, oops. It's kind of like a hasty generalization, yeah. So it means that it's when you argue against a simplified version of a claim. So instead of arguing against a complex argument, you simplify it. Like a straw man here, a scarecrow or straw man is not a real person. You're arguing against not a real argument. Yeah, that's true. So it's not quite that though. So maybe not all music is therapeutic, but that does not mean that some music is therapeutic. So maybe, so you simplify the argument to make it easier to argue against. I'm trying to think of an example. Oh, I don't know. But yeah, like if someone tells you a very complex argument and then you simplify it to make it easier to argue against. Sometimes you play it up, like maybe someone makes the argument, oh, we should use less oil and gas, and we should use more sustainable energy. And then maybe you turn that argument into, oh, well, we can't completely get rid of oil and gas, but the person was not arguing that. So it simplifies an argument. Okay, so for this activity, we are going to do a poll. You will see an example of a logical fallacy on your screen. So click the poll answer that identifies the type of logical fallacy. Just 1 second. So I am not interested in reading because reading is boring. Is this a slippery slope, hasty generalization, post hoc ergo propter hoc, genetic fallacy, circular argument, either or, ad hominem, red herring, or a straw man? Give you a few more seconds to answer. Okay, lots of people still haven't yet answered, so I'm going to wait a little bit longer. I'll give you a hint. Not interesting and boring are kind of the same. Okay, I think I'll stop it there. So I would say it's a circular argument. I can also see how it's kind of close to a hasty generalization because reading being boring is kind of a generalization, but I would say it's closer to a circular argument because something that is not interesting is boring. Like they kind of mean the same thing. So you're like, I'm not interested because it's kind of like saying I'm not interested because it's not interesting. I am bored with it because yeah, it's boring. So I'm not interested in reading because reading is boring. It doesn't really say why. It just says the same thing. Okay, next one. Lisa is from Canada. All people from Canada must choose to work in other countries. So is this a slippery slope, a hasty generalization? Oops, did I close it? Sorry. Where did it go? Oh. I think I'll stop it there. So some people have put hasty generalization or genetic fallacy. I have this as a hasty generalization, but I think because it's talking about where I'm from, I mean, I could kind of see it being a genetic fallacy. but it is definitely a generalization, I would say. Okay, next one. You're from India, so you must love curry. Is that a slippery slope, hasty generalization, post hoc ergo propter hoc, genetic fallacy, circular argument, either or, ad hominem, red herring, or straw man? Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So yes, I would say it's a genetic fallacy. It's making the assumption that the person must love curry just because they're from India. Like all people from India must love curry. Okay. I changed the channel to watch the news and the power went out. Changing the channel must make the power go out. So is that a slippery slope, hasty generalization, post hoc ergo propter hoc, genetic fallacy, circular argument, either or, ad hominem, red herring, or straw man? Three, two. The power went out when there is rain. Well, that's a little bit different. I would say that that might actually be a good argument for why, if you could explain why. So it is actually, I would say it's post hoc ergo propter hoc. So correlation, that two things happened at the same time, does not mean that one caused the other. So yeah, we also say quite often, as it said on the same slide, correlation does not mean causation, or does not equal correlation. I'm spelling it wrong. Sorry. Somehow I can't get the spelling correct, but correlation does not equal causation. If I go online for 5 minutes right now, I will never get any work done tonight. Is that a slippery slope, hasty generalization, post hoc ergo propter hoc, genetic fallacy, circular argument, either or, ad hominem, red herring, or straw man? Okay, I'll stop it there. So this one is a bit difficult, I think, but it's, oops, sorry. It is slippery slope. So I'm trying to get back to present. So just because you go on for 5 minutes does not mean that you will get no work done tonight. So this does not always lead to this. That is not a good argument. So it's a slippery slope. I don't believe the scientists because they don't follow the same religion as I do. Is this slippery slope, hasty generalization, post hoc ergo propter hoc, genetic fallacy, circular argument, either or, ad hominem, red herring, or straw man? So we'll stop it there. So yes, it is ad hominem. So it's a personal attack instead of, like, it's looking at the person, instead of their argument. So it's insulting the person instead of arguing against the argument. You're just like, I don't believe because they have a different religion. Yeah. We can spend a lot of money to buy a new car, or we can use that money to go on a vacation. So is that a slippery slope, hasty generalization, post hoc ergo propter hoc, genetic fallacy, circular argument, either or, ad hominem, red herring, or straw man? Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So either or, good. So it's saying we can either spend money and buy a new car or go on vacation. Well, in reality, there's lots of different options. Maybe you want to buy a new house. Maybe you want to go shopping at the store. So lots of different options. So this is either or when there's lots of other options. Climate change can't be real because it snowed at my house in October. What kind of argument is a slippery slope, hasty generalization, post hoc ergo propter hoc, genetic fallacy, circular argument, either or, red herring, or straw man argument? Yeah, so I would say, yeah, it's most likely a straw man argument in that just because it snowed at someone's house has nothing to do with if climate change is real or not. Like they're not really related. Could also possibly be maybe a little bit of a straw man argument. You're simplifying climate change with cold weather and hot weather. But yeah, I think mostly a red herring. They're not related. And you're just distracting from the real argument. Okay, so we're going to do a group activity. So in groups, you will choose a logical fallacy. Use the pair deck to create your own example of that logical fallacy. Repeat with 2 more. If you have any questions or technical difficulties, you can send us an email or ask for help in the chat box. So I'll just show you what that is. Oops, where am I? Oh, actually, sorry, we're almost out of time, so I might just give this as homework. Yeah, I realized what time it is. This was a long class. So I'm going to give this for homework. My apologies. Yeah. So what you can do for homework, and I'll give you the link, and it's also in the Google Classroom. I'll put it up there later. So you can choose which one you want to do, and then you can write your own copy of it. So what did you choose? Can you think and brainstorm of your own example of that logical fallacy? But yeah, we had a lot of information today, so I didn't get to the activity. But there is the link. I put the link to the activity in the chat box. Okay, and as Carrie said, the morning session is in Burmese on Saturday. It is the same link from 9 a.m. until 10 a.m. We've been having some technical issues, but we will make sure that we're somewhere with a really good connection, both of us, next time. And if anyone wants to attend in Burmese, if it helps you understand the concepts or ideas, to be able to discuss them in Burmese. You can attend both if you want, or you can just attend one. That's totally fine. It's just to help in case it's difficult to understand in English. To have the option to do it in Burmese or English or both. Same class though.
Lisa?
Yes?
There is another class at 8:30.
Yes, there's one for teacher training at 8:30.
Yeah.
It's a different link though, but it's just, yeah.
Yeah, I will join.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So yeah, you can do the activity for homework. My apologies about us taking a long time for us to get through that.
Yeah.
What can you do to avoid logical fallacies in your own work? So what are some things that you can do to avoid logical fallacies?
My research work.
Yeah, sure.
In my research work, yeah, we can avoid logical fallacy?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest way is just knowing the logical fallacies. And if you know the logical event, it's easier to identify them. Yeah, provide more than one evidence. Yeah, like if you just making sure that you can recognize and analyze if it is a good or a strong argument, or if they've used some logical fallacies. Obviously, I think in science, it's a lot harder to use logical fallacies, but it might still happen. I think it still sometimes does happen, especially correlation and causation. But especially in the social sciences and maybe language, English language.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How well can you find logical fallacies? So not at all, a little bit, somewhat, quite well, extremely well. So on the count of 3, can you show me? And if not, you can also type in the box. So 1, 2, 3. A little bit more. Yeah, knowing logical fallacies can avoid logical fallacies. Yeah, quite well. Okay, yeah, some people are still kind of in the middle. We did kind of go through it quite quickly. So there was a lot to cover. And as Akari mentioned, the lessons for both the morning and the evening are the same. It is just that the morning session will be led by her in Burmese, and then I will lead the one in English at night. But it's the same link for both, same Zoom link. Okay, so please remember to fill out the course feedback form. I will also be emailing it out, and I will email out an invitation to the Google Classroom. Next week, we are going to be looking at primary sources, and you can find the syllabus in the Google Classroom. So let me pull up the feedback form. Okay, so there is the feedback form. I will also be filling it out. Okay. And my apologies for not getting to the group activity. So yeah, you can do it for homework if you would like. Okay, thank you very much. It was nice to see everyone. If you have any questions, you can stay and ask them. So thank you and bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next class.
If there's no questions, I think I will end class. Okay, so thank you very much and bye-bye.